Okay, hello everybody tuning in. We are live. I'm joined by Mr. Jay Burden and Argent Templar here, currently just going by Argent. I dig the gray Eevee you've switched to.
Hmm.
Say hello, guys. How's it going, Argent?
Good. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yes, and of course, Mr. Burden, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so people will be familiar with what we're covering. You'll see the reveal in a little bit. If you recall that iceberg meme that was going around, the Hitler iceberg, these guys came up with it. And I noticed Mr. Burden followed this account actually on Twitter. Um, which tab is it? Shoot. Yeah, it is this tab. Mr. Burden followed Project Liberal. So these are the guys who posted that epic Hitler meme. And I was like, okay, Burden is the guy to have on to talk about this stuff because you you're always particularly entertaining, I think, when it comes to mocking these sort of neo-libertarians or this new wave of classical liberalism that's emerging, and it's just really cringe and pointless. And it's like, who is this stuff actually for? So Project Liberal. Apparently, these are the guys. Are these seriously the guys who founded this thing, Mr. Burden?
So I only know out of all three of these guys, the guy on the top left. And he's a figure that's been in libertarian circles for a long time. Joshua Reed Eckel. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But I actually got a tip off onto this guy because I have a couple friends who were deep into libertarian party politics, maybe like 5 or 10 years ago. And this guy has been around for a long time as kind of the unironic neoliberal libertarian. And so basically, as you've kind of alluded to, I kind of like collecting these sort of accounts because it's sort of a useful tool to have someone who says the other side's arguments with the least qualifiers whatsoever. Like he basically just goes out and says, if you think ugliness is bad, you're Hitler. There's like no subtlety to it. And so boosting those accounts are useful, right? Because you can sort of create this inoculation to arguments downstream of them. And so that's how I kind of found these guys and Project Liberal, which is, again, it seems to be this completely like astroturfed political organization. They attempt to make memes and then just get dunked on by everyone.
There are
Yeah, so that's
also. Oh, sorry.
yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's also the childish joy of discovering a new lol cow because
Yes.
it's hard to find a new one these days. But like, what even is this art style? Like, is this AI? Is this like? I don't even. It just looks weird. It looks like someone poorly photoshopped them onto a red background.
Yeah, this guy, the founder here, Joshua Reed Eckel, it doesn't look like a photo. It's clearly doctored.
He
And
looks
I
like
did just
Macaulay
find this
Culkin.
I did just find this guy, Jonathan Casey. So I'm guessing these other two are real as well. I mean, the physiognomy here, it's like this guy's literally wearing a fedora. Like and here we have the perfect what is the cowboy meme? The one from
He
Yellowstone,
reminds
right?
me of The Amazing Atheist.
Yeah, it's like how does this exist in 2023? Who is this for? You look at their website and okay, liberals stand for LGBTQ, of course, strong defense, limited government. Wow, we love that. So I guess to start out here, and start before we scroll their timeline. I saw the Mises Caucus post this thing the other day where, Tucker Carlson's been going on this sort of anti-market capitalism thing where he talks about how maybe capitalism isn't the best thing after all. So the Mises Caucus is doing the classic thing where it's like real capitalism has never been tried, basically. And I responded, unfortunately, no one cares. And that might just come off as sort of a throwaway mocking joke, but it's actually not. I'm being serious here. Like, we get it. What we have is not true market capitalism as the Mises libertarians characterize it, but we don't actually care, right? Like, I don't care if it's real capitalism or not. I don't want either of them. And one of the things libertarians do that's really annoying, hashtag not all, we have some good ones, but they always try to sell you like, look, what we have isn't actual capitalism. Really, you want real capitalism. And actually, no, I don't. I actually don't want libertarian. I don't want real capitalism that's never been tried, and I
I'm
don't.
gonna ask a dumb question. What does capitalism even mean?
Capitalism is like when it's anarchy and there's no government and you can trade freely.
Because like capitalism can mean anything from like a regulated mixed economy to libertarian and capistan. I mean, I think it functionally just means a market economy, doesn't it?
Well,
Well,
to libertarians, it does mean Ancapistan, and we get it. Okay, we understand, dear libertarians, that capitalism is supposed to technically mean Ancapistan. We know, and we don't care, and we
so
don't
this
want
is
that.
something that Sean Wayland, who I see in chat, and I had a conversation about, that effectively the whole idea of socialism v capitalism, which is the kind of paradigmatic worldview that the libertarians operate in, is false. Like if you look at what really happened, effectively James Burnham had the right answer, that we were seeing a transition between capitalism, right, which is this sort of system where there are people who own companies, to managerialism, right? And the idea of that managerial system being the same thing as capitalism, or even that you can kind of go back to a time where there were these kind of like barons of industry. It's an idea out of time, right? It was a different style of economy. It was an industrialized economy. It was a protectionist economy. And to kind of retroactively turn that into a sort of proto-anarchism is retarded. And it just doesn't, not only does it not map on what historically happened, but it doesn't map on what we currently see. Like the idea that China is a socialist country that is in any meaningful way different from our economy, it's just not true. Like effectively it's managers all the way down.
Well, and this is something that's always irritated me, the libertarian myth that America has been like a libertarian economy. I mean, the American school is like mild protectionism, infrastructure projects, education. There's always been government like involvement in the economy. It's not as much as a lot of societies, but like a big reason why America got was able to develop its industry was tariffs. It's not as if it is America's ever been Ancapistan.
No, and we don't want it. That's what's so annoying about some of these anarchists. And look, I get it. I don't mean to excessively hate on the libertarians, but really, we're just not interested. Okay, and no one is anymore. And I guess that's why I wanted to look at this, because this project is putting out these god awful memes on Twitter. And okay, here's one right here. Here we have this new like soy facing yes guy. I don't even know where this came from.
So this is a meme. I don't know where it came from, but this sort of shows the allegiance between like full out and out leftists and these guys. Because basically this came out of a desire to subvert the like Chad yes gamer, you know, like the Aryan gamer guy. And essentially what they had is there's just this guy walking around who looked like this. And the idea was, oh, you know, the kind of like neckbeard atheist, early Reddit, you know, anti-religion, basically the amazing atheist. Yeah, at Raging Vandals, right? Those guys are actually good. Like we need those guys to come back. And so it's recasting and kind of subverted like the Chad yes face and trying to basically make like bugmen from the mid 2000s cool again, which is just the weirdest position to take. And again, it goes back to the idea that ugliness is actually based, guys. You know, it's cool to be a neat. I don't know.
Okay, I just want to, and this might just be the Canadian education system failed me. I don't understand, like, I actually don't understand this. Isn't the general point of this that there's two mutually exclusive things, that, like, people believe two mutually exclusive things, or you have to pick, like, make a really bad choice? Like, I don't understand how these two things relate to each other.
Well, I think that the idea is that's the point behind the original meme. And this is, again, a subversion of that where it's, no, you can actually do both. They're not contradictory. So I'm guessing that's what it is.
Has anyone ever said they were contradictory?
Well, now we're getting to why this the whole account makes no sense.
I actually don't. Like I'm not even being sarcastic. I actually don't understand.
No, I don't either. And that's kind of the point. I literally don't understand the meme either.
Well, I don't mean to disturb you too much, Argent, but these people are bad at making memes. So they're all going to be incredibly confusing at best.
That's why I find this so fascinating, is because they're trying to take right-wing memes and turn them into their sort of pseudo, I don't even know what do they think they are? Do they view themselves as left or right? I don't even know, but they're taking them in this direction. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
I will say one thing. This is a common belief in Eastern Europe where a lot of people, particularly the younger generation, think if we legalize gay marriage and have unlimited immigration from the third world, we'll become as wealthy as America overnight. I do think that is a common belief there among the younger generation. We recently saw this in particular in Armenia, but I don't think they even know where like Eastern Europe is on a map.
Yeah, well, and I think that is sort of a more understandable perspective. Like you hear people like Kashuda talk about this a lot, where essentially they haven't really got to the social degradation part of neoliberalism yet. And so in recovering from basically being a Soviet satellite, it's like, oh, we can have nice stuff, and comparatively, that's sort of an easier deal to make. And they haven't quite got to the devil's part of that bargain. They're still kind of riding high on the front end. But yeah, I mean, this is just a weird it's a weird position to take. This isn't an argument that anyone really makes.
yeah, so here we have them doing the typical libertarian taxation is inflation is theft in this case, and yeah, they hate the Fed. So they are libertarians. I guess. Well, let's see. What is this one?
I mean, inflation bad. Okay. I agree.
Well, this is one of the other things, and I got into it a bit with this Eckel guy about this, is that they're very anti-Confederacy and they're extremely pro removal of statues. So basically, these guys are like Twitter shitlibs in everything except for economics. So like with the and I don't want to make this too topical, but recently there's been a whole bunch of drama about the Reconciliation Monument in Arlington Cemetery, and it is being removed. And so basically, this guy Eckel, which by the way, if you want to go to that website where you can search for Civil War soldiers and look that up, you can. But essentially, he's been dunking on Republicans for not wanting them removed because technically the Republican Party was the party of Lincoln.
I'm going to be honest, that is a little bit funny because that is what Republicans say. That is like the thing. Oh, it was the Democrats or the real racists. But it's just like the least funny means of doing that. Also, what does socialism even mean? I mean, I think it's supposed to mean the workers control the means of production, but in practice, like capitalism, it's just this vaguely defined term that can refer to anything from like basic, like the government building roads to like a centrally planned economy.
I really hate this meme. I've never seen anyone who I would classify as a good person use this stupid goose meme, but this account is so schizo because, like you said, they're obviously shit libs, but they also have this libertarian economic angle, and here they are counter signaling like their own side, I guess, because now they're going after the socialists here.
So what's the funniest part about this is I looked up that guy Eckel's last name on the Search for Soldiers website, and there are 33 results, and almost all of them are Confederates. Just a funny note. So despite all of his hatred, he is descended from these people, which is funny.
I'm going to be honest, I don't even really get this meme. So the joke is that he runs away. Like, it just seems like
the joke is he doesn't want to answer the question. And I guess the answer to the question
is... That's a joke? Like, no, like, I don't know. I'm wondering if I'm stupid. Like, I don't understand how this is supposed to be funny. Like,
well, it's not. That's the point. It's not funny.
I honestly don't get it.
So what's interesting is I think that if I had to guess, because going through on that Eccles guy, his page, it's basically like pro-immigration, extremely anti-Trump, extremely anti. Basically, it's the coming from the frame of, libertarians are neither right nor left, that whole line of reasoning. But this guy has like a terminal case of TDS. And so he's just constantly talking about how like fascism and populism and, the Republicans are this giant threat to this kind of like open borders neoliberal economy. And again, like, I'm not the biggest fan of libertarians, but there are many more consistent libertarians than this guy. And the thing I'm confused by, because if you go around on that Project Liberal website, it talks about like, oh, you can vote for the leadership, you can donate, you can become a member. So I assume it's some sort of political organization, but other than a Twitter account, I can't, and a blog, right? And by the way, the blog is genuinely terrible.
Oh, that facial expression is going to give me nightmares.
By the way, Charlemagne, look at that YIMBYism. You want to check the last name on that woman?
Okay. What's her name? You're right, of course.
Okay. I don't even know like what that is. I don't know.
Basically,
okay, what are they doing? Let's see.
They aren't sending their best.
Exactly. So they're kind of like fossils of another era, and they're basically fossils of the economically conservative, socially liberal, and again, I don't think that this movement really has any like real base to it anymore. But nonetheless, these people seem to be committed. They obviously have money.
Well, that's why it's so bizarre. It's like, who is this for? But I guess you're right. They have money from somebody.
Sorry, go up to the top of the page. Who was it that they were listing for all this like horrible stuff? Okay,
it's the Libertarian
Party.
Oh, so this must be in reaction to the Mises Caucus takeover of the Libertarian Party.
I think you're right. I think we've actually discovered what this is. These guys hate the Mises Caucus, who I actually like. I don't want to shit on them. But the point needs to be made that like, look, nobody cares about this capitalism versus socialism stuff anymore. You basically need to make the Libertarian Party this guy's party if you want to get anywhere. Sorry, Mises Caucus, but yeah, no, I think that's exactly what this is, dude. They're like the radical left of the Libertarian
Have
Party.
They actually said any of that stuff?
Well, let's see.
So the thing is about the Mises Caucus guys is, one, a lot of them are like shit posters. Like, if you've ever heard of the podcast Tower Gang, it's a group of guys who would just post N towers on Twitter who started a podcast. They're involved with it. It's a lot of guys like that. So it's like, some of it is probably true. The other part of it is probably just like shit posters on Twitter, to be honest. But what's been interesting, and I don't follow these people that closely, but like I've said before, I have friends who kind of were in the past involved with the Libertarian Party, is that what happened in the Libertarian Party is sort of like a delay of what happened to a lot of people with Trump. Is that there was this idea that, we'll get our guys.
Sorry. This looks like a GeoCities website from like 1996. Like, what is this? Looks worse than Cenk Uyghur's president website.
Oh,
no, but
my
does
God.
it look like a GeoCities website from the 90s? Like, it's.
I like the animated caution sign so that we know that these are bad people.
Yeah, but no, you're right. I clicked on this and it actually links to here. So yeah, this actually got really interesting. This was kind of just a joke stream, but yeah, this is a response to the Mises Caucus. That's fascinating.
So the interesting thing about that is that, somewhat similar to what happened with anti-science, but one of the similar things that happened in libertarianism to republicanism is that basically there were a lot of the libertarian version of rhinos at the top of the Libertarian Party. And so essentially the idea, wait, go to that first one.
Wait,
so
this
okay,
is
let's go up and let's see what they claim.
How is this anti-science?
No, it's conspiratorial theories.
No, but there's a comma here. So that means it's both, right? whatever. Which one do you want me to go to, Bird? This one?
Oh, I just thought the first one was
No,
kind of
let's go up
wild.
and
'Cause that
see
seems
what
like
they
a pretty
say. Let's see
boilerplate
what they say
libertarian
is
take.
racism.
Oh my god, they actually archived it. This is awesome. I mean, this isn't just this is just normal, right? This is like a normal.
This is just a
milk
fairly
toast.
normal take. Like, I mean,
Like this is just true. I mean,
you can argue whether it was like enough to justify. It's not as if there was no reason Japan declared war in America.
Well, it's also weird because if these people are supposedly racist, yet are anti-war in the Pacific, which is probably the closest thing to like a modern day, United States race war. Like, I don't know. That seems to be a. I guess this doesn't matter. Like these people are not.
Top. I want to see what they consider racism.
Well, that's interesting because if you looked at what they wanted to do,
go down a bit. I think it's promoting hate and racism, promoting anti. Let's see what they consider anti-Semitism.
Or which one? We can do both.
Goes back to Africa. The Uyghur genocide is fake, and Ukraine is
Go to the
G4.
October 2023
Ukraine is a Nazi
meme, I've seen that one. That one's funny.
How is that racism?
Like, sorry, game's got to recognize game. That's just funny.
Like, do people not get, like, do these guys not understand shit posting?
No,
Like, that people just, the only,
Oh.
let's see here.
There's one where they called New Orleans a violent shithole, which like
Hey, go to Libertarian Party, post an anti-Semitic meme. Let's see what the anti-Semitic meme is.
from 2022 November.
Yeah, there we go.
This one's not archived.
I have no comment.
Yeah, we're just gonna back out of that.
So anyway, what happened is that it seems like the Mises Caucus has had the same realization that a lot of Republicans had, or a lot of our guys had when Trump got elected, that essentially they swept into power, and then that, well, okay, now what question kind of arose. And I think a lot of people, and this is a lot of people have started falling into the post-libertarian orbit, which is people like our friend Pete, Buck Johnson, the King-Pilled guys, kind of all realize like, wait a minute, party politics, and particularly libertarian party politics, is kind of fake and gay. And so a lot of the people who kind of catapulted the Mises Caucus to fame have now left the Libertarian Party. So there is an argument to be made that the Mises Caucus did actually destroy the Libertarian Party, but I mean, is that an organization we care about? They did it because they sort of had the same realization that a lot of our guys did a little bit earlier, that essentially democracy is kind of fake and gay.
But did they violate the NAP by taking over the Libertarian Party?
I mean, I do think that posting an anti-Semitic meme is a violation of the NAP.
Okay.
So I think so.
Can anyone explain what we're looking at right now? Because I've seen this one. Once again, I don't understand what this is saying.
I think they're saying either because America used to be white, or because of the New Deal. It's,
well, I think it's anti-trad posting. It's basically saying like, this like traditional society you liked, it was actually child labor, starvation and stuff like that. But again, what kind of trads are like, yes, we want to go back to the time of Dickens, or we want to go back to the, like, it's a straw man, right? No one, actually, maybe there are some people that I say it, but again, it seems to basically just being kind of tilting at traditionalist straw men.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Ever heard a self-described traditionalist say it was awesome when kids worked in factories with no safety regulations?
No. Now that you've said that, I guarantee you someone's going to. But
I'm sure somebody has, like, as a shit post, but I have never heard that. I've heard them say like kids should work on family farms, but that's not the same thing.
Again, and also if you see that there's that Pepe with the copium thing. I think that account is like Right Wing Cope or something like that, and they're another. It seems like ass mad libertarian, and so a lot of this is basically it's basically like it's basically liberals in denial, who can't admit that they're basically just a full-on Joe Biden supporter. They want to still be an edgy libertarian.
I have this blocked. That's funny.
Well, again, like on the bottom left, like I don't know who that account is, but those 3 arrows, like that's an Antifa symbol. Like I hate to say it, like this is basically just a shit live in denial.
I'm trying to find the Pepe one. Reaganite Republican you brought up.
This guy is just a legitimately insane South American.
Well, look at go back up. Look, he literally like has the CIA controlling every country on Earth.
We'll look at this later.
This can't take it.
Which one is the Pepe? Just want to peek at that real.
By the way, sorry. Side note. Speaking of schizo posting, did you guys see that thing where Nikki Haley said that like Hamas attacked on October 8th because it was Putin's birthday?
Yeah, that's some great schizo there.
Watching you in real time clean up your timeline.
All right, let's go back to theirs.
So I have a dump. So what exactly is their opposition to Trump, that he supports protectionism and is against immigration?
I mean, what is their stated or what is their actual opposition? Because it's basically just like hose mad, essentially.
Because like I have a series, Is It Fascist? And when I did MAGA, it's like, okay, smaller government, gun rights, freedom of speech.
Well, to be honest, MAGA is
the swamp,
probably the most liberal bloc in American politics currently. But actually, Sean again has a good point. Basically, they're mad because they're the Mensheviks to the Bolsheviks. They're mad because they're no longer relevant. I think that's probably true. That at least before MAGA, the edgy wing of the Republican Party was Tea Party types, which is much more libertarian. It was anti-Obama sentiment, which was mainly, at least the biggest form it took was economic. And so I think that's probably it. But I will say, if you go to their YouTube channel, despite that their YouTube channel has 7 videos on it, not a single video with more than 1,000 views. They have almost 13,000 YouTube subscribers and a lot of videos privated. So I don't know what this account used to be. Like I can't see their privated videos, but it does seem like they are something else that's been rebranded.
Oh,
I'm seeing some I think we need a physiognomy check here. The Doomers are wrong.
But again,
cool. This is 4 hours ago. Okay, they just released one. Interesting.
Well, they heard we were going to be doing this, so
nothing live.
I'm really curious to hear if you scroll down to the bottom left, what their solution for solving South Africa is. Because they have an article on this as well. You don't need to watch the video. I haven't seen it, but I'll Open Society. Oh, this is good research.
We're accidentally doing a research stream now. Head of policy. Maybe we'll forward this to the
What is that facial expression? Like, is he stoned or?
He honestly looks like an Oblivion character. Like he's too round to be human. Yeah.
Okay.
UP Tux? What's looking
like genuinely the idea that the only thing we need to solve South Africa, which is like effectively a terminal failed state, is just free market economics is laughable.
All right, what are we looking at? There's counter signaling the post liberals. So the post liberals are pretending to be right wingers, right? And some of them are they like the same as some of the Catholic trads? I think they're tied into that, right?
Yeah, I don't know that account, but I mean, I assume it's people like Why Liberalism Failed, the guy who wrote that, like Chronicles and stuff like that.
Okay, so yeah, that's just another just horrible meme.
Oh, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? So basically, it's just it's, and if you look at this, despite allegedly being, pro free markets, basically all that they actually do is attempt to dunk on right wingers.
I'm gonna be honest, like I'm feeling retarded looking at, because like I don't really get it. Like it's
This meme was actually funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
This one made me laugh.
Wait,
Okay.
Who's this? Who's
That's
this?
Andrew
that's
Tate.
Andrew Tate.
Okay,
That's
good.
actually funny.
That's actually funny.
They're really proud of that, though. They reposted that 3
Yeah, it's
times
like
on their own
reposted a
timeline.
bunch of
All right,
times.
Come on.
Okay, conservatism, liberalism, socialism. What is the difference in their mind between conservatism and classical liberalism? I guess immigration, maybe.
Maybe it's the traditionalism stuff.
Uh-huh. I mean, like China. Okay, well, I think everybody realizes that like China's whole anti-imperialism is just a concern troll.
Look at this. This is garbage. This is toxic sludge.
That's like a 2011 meme.
Like it's just there's nothing. It's just literally them taking a talking point and putting on a meme template. It's not even like relevant in a lot of cases. What?
Wait,
What?
So what's this? This is a French poster. Oh, it's just again voting
For the defense
liberal.
of our liberty, vote liberal. Okay, cool.
So this is also interesting because it seems like, ugh.
So what are they? Okay, so they want gun rights for everyone. Okay, yeah.
By the way, the
Class-
drag queen on the right just casually committing a felony.
Only for trans people. They get. Yeah, isn't that illegal? Isn't the barrel too short on that one?
I mean, unless they have papers, which they probably do, but it doesn't matter. It's
Oh yeah, probably have
So-
papers.
So only women and trans people can have guns. Is that the?
again, it's
What's
just
going on
it's
here? Is that even a real gun? What's up with the
it might be
magazine? going?
photoshopped. It's
That's
weird.
dude. That's fake. Look at them.
Yeah.
Look
Well, it
at
just
the
doesn't
mag.
like.
Shit. What is going on? All right. That's not real. The magazine's like on top of going all the way up to the ejector port.
Look at her
Look at this.
finger. Her finger, like
Oh, this
that-
is very clearly
that
photoshopped.
looks-
Or
that looks
yeah,
photoshopped.
something is weird about it. I also, Arjun, I don't think that's a her.
Yo, you're right.
I
Okay.
I don't
Backing
know.
out. Backing out. We're getting into the danger zone here.
I mean, I'll put it this way: she's got
I'm
Michelle
so-
Obama arms. If that's a woman.
I'm sorry, YouTube. I support all women and men and other.
Yeah, some people say second mag attached, like it's taped on. That could
I-
be. Obviously, that wasn't like normal. So
What's okay? This is also interesting. Look, go up. They're anti-conspiracy theory, and they're promoting Alan Moore, who's a weird person for libertarians to promote. Because Alan Moore, right, who's a comic book artist, he did Watchmen and The Killing Joke, some other famous stuff like that. And essentially, the deep irony of this is Alan Moore is anti-conspiracy theory because like many libtards, he created a work better and truer than he could comprehend. And so he basically made his comic Watchmen is about how a paranoid right-wing conspiracy theorist is the only person who actually has like real morals, and basically is the only person willing to die for their principles. So there's some irony in that, but also like, again, Alan Moore, I think he's the V
Alan
for
Moore is a
Vendetta
rape
guy.
fetish.
Yeah,
Alan
he's
Moore
a
is
weird
massive
dude.
rape fetish.
Yeah, he
Like,
looks
I
a
mean,
bit,
They took
weird.
it down, but somebody did the top 10 Alan Moore rape scenes. But I think that got taken down. But like literally, when I was trying to read the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I couldn't even get through it because there was so many rape scenes in it. It's just.
Well, I mean, that's kind of Lindy.
Doesn't
for
he worship a
libertarians,
snake
right?
god or something?
He probably does.
Oh, okay. I hate this one. I hate this fucking meme. I saw this.
I don't get it. I don't get it either.
He's like he's
don't know, the
claiming that
Canadian-
reactionaries are reacting and like everything's actually fine. Don't stop being an online spurg. I guess.
What's interesting is that he's done this similar thing about Bidenomics too, where he basically says like the economy's fine, and again, it just seems to basically be pure like ideology. Like, oh, the chuds think it's going bad, therefore it's going good.
Just the attempt to take the reactionary meme. How
Well,
is
this is
Trump
what
a
I'm
weak-
saying. No, exactly. That was my reaction, Arjun. Is if there's one thing you can't say about Trump, it's that he's a weak man. Like this meme doesn't really make sense.
How is Tucker Carlson a loser? He's rich. Does he have what, like 4 kids? Yeah, he has 4 kids. His wife is fairly attractive. Like, I don't get how he's a loser.
Well, and it's actually maybe
It,
this is the angle, because you notice
and
he
millions of
dunks on-
people like him.
Yeah, you're probably right, but maybe this is the angle because he's always taking hits at Charlie Kirk, and so maybe that's the angle. The angle is to like take over the TP USA circuit.
Well, it's obvious that they're commies. That's why their color's red. I mean,
I should have saved it. I remember there was someone made a post. Is there a bigger incel at Fox News than Tucker Carlson? I should have saved that. Like, Tucker has 4 kids.
Well, again, right? That's just one of those things where the sooner you realize that effectively words like liberal and fascist don't functionally mean anything, they basically just mean you're gross and I don't like you. It makes more sense. Like no one actually who uses the term fascist cares about your relation to Mussolini. They basically just want you to go away.
So
wow,
free
guys, the
trade.
Democrats aren't liberals.
I mean, once again, like, I think free trade makes sense between 2 economies of similar development. Like, I think if NAFTA had have just been Canada and the US, it probably would have been fine. Mexico had no business being in it. Like, if I don't know, the US and the EU, like, that would make sense to me. But sorry, so are they for or against nuclear power? Oh, I guess that's a coal mining on the right.
Yeah, I guess they're for nuclear, which is
They're
okay.
saying the alternative is like coal mining.
Okay, so
Ironically, that's what Germany did.
Yeah, really. This is the context, right? So he, again, dunking on Tucker Carlson, basically saying like, Tucker Carlson is basically making the point, that you hear a lot in our circles that like, capitalism is essentially just act as an acid towards culture, and basically this is that same point, like, oh, things in the past were bad. Dollar Tree is better because you can
So
just
is
buy.
this is not ironic? He actually is saying Dollar Tree is good.
Yeah, this is the origin of the ugliness is bad argument. This is all the same like line of thought. We're basically saying like, oh, if you think Dollar Tree or like cheap stores and strip malls are ugly and therefore bad, you're Hitler. Is basically the unironic point.
I mean,
they're ugly, but they do help a lot of people make ends meet. I also don't get this, like, maybe it's like a mid, like 105 IQ thing. Like, they don't seem to understand some things could be better in the past and some things are worse in the past and some things are better in the present. And
It's just reusing the same template too for other memes we noticed. Like, do you have any other material other than like this picture?
Well, this is why I assume they're being paid. Is they've got some like lazy intern just sitting there and they're like, all right, you got to make 3 memes a day. And like Rajneesh or whatever is just like, okay, fine. Yes, exactly, Heimer. It's that.
Yeah, I mean, I get what Arjun is saying. Like, I'm sure some people kind of have to shop at Dollar Tree, but it's like this Dollar Tree's not like good. We don't want more Dollar Tree. Like, we want it to not exist and not have to exist for people to make ends meet.
Well, right, and I think that no one is saying like, you're bad if you shop at Dollar Tree, but the idea that it's just like an taste, like, oh no,
Sorry, so are they saying that conservatives like the people on the bottom, or because the people on the top?
They like them. This is Locke, so they must support the bottom. This is Douglas. What's his name?
Didn't John
Uh,
Locke say atheists should be like killed or excluded from government or something like that?
believe so. And then is that Kant on the right?
I think it's
That's Adam
Kant.
Smith, I think.
No, yeah, you're
Right.
right. That's
You're
Smith.
right.
That's Smith. Yeah.
Okay, do you think John Locke would have been on board with trans stuff?
Well, no, of course not. And these people have again, it's why this doesn't really, their historical claims don't matter because all of this is purely just motivated by animus. They just hate MAGA. And essentially anything that comes to hand, they'll use as a stick to beat it. And I mean, like, that's why none of this makes any sense, because it's all motivated reasoning. I don't like. Okay, this is kind of funny.
It's actually funny.
By the way, Charlie, Lou Templar can hop on if you have you can
Oh, sweet. Yes, this will be great. We'll just
They're
we'll
worse
look
than
at
actually
this while I press buttons to get him on.
Well, the
Okay,
other
I got
thing
a
with
phone
Trump
number.
is there anything that Trump has puts forward that is not like normal in American conservatism?
No,
Like,
not at all.
that's not
like I mean, you
like
could say like,
populism, protectionism.
well, you could say, I mean, there's several things that he said that like triggered people, but as far as actual policy, no, like he didn't do anything particularly notable. Like, okay, we have the so-called Muslim ban, which he called the Muslim ban. Did it happen? No. We had the border wall. Did that happen? Kind of, but not really.
But immigration restriction is not like that happened in American conservatives. I'm just saying like nothing about him is some radical new thing that's like he completely made up. A lot of it is just taking a bunch of different ideas from how conservatives were previously and bringing them together.
Okay, here's the big one. Let's we're gonna go back. I'm gonna give Lou Templar time to get on before we.
Well, it's interesting. Look, they're unironic Fukuyama fans. A man who's been so thoroughly proven wrong. He's essentially been dunked on for the last 20 years. And the fact that they're kind of hitching their horse to that wagon, it kind of shows you, what they are. They're truly out of time. And it's the same thing as like, when you encounter unironic new atheists in the current year, where it's like, okay, like even the people who agreed with you have moved on. This does not make sense in the current political landscape. You're a relic. And again, I don't want to get into too much like Hegelianism, but it basically is like you have been left behind by the spirit of the age. And it makes just as much sense as, I don't know, like describing yourself as like, like a Graken or something, describing that it's absurd.
Well, it's like the thing part, like with new atheism and libertarianism. The reality of this is that these things largely only appeal to like upper middle class white males. Like it doesn't really appeal to anyone else. Like new atheism is just not common among like black people. I think it's only like 2 to 5% of blacks identify that way. And it kind of becomes like problematic from their viewpoint because like the people they claim to represent have zero interest in libertarian economics. Like I guess we have like Tom Sowell and Clarence Thomas, both of whom they probably hate. Other than that, like I don't know.
So, sorry, what's interesting about what you're looking at is that Tom Woods was part of an organization called the League of the South. And basically the League of the South from its inception to about the mid 2000s was somewhat similar to Abbeville. Like it was an organization that was basically like an academic group, right, of people interested in Southern history. And this was also well before the Civil War was nearly as controversial as it is now. And then I think that the founder died and it passed to a new group and basically became like an actual like skinhead group. And so all of the academics obviously left, and the organization, which is the League of the South now, is unrelated. It's effectively not the same thing at all. So that's one of the things people use to tarnish Tom Woods. I'm not the biggest Tom Woods fan. I have nothing against him. It's just not someone I listen to. But calling him a neo-Confederate is a huge stretch because, I mean, the organization has the same name, but it's just not the same thing. And basically, again, it's just hose mad.
So what? Yeah, what is this? Was desegregation not social engineering? Like, isn't that?
Wait, they have a bullet point there with nothing after it.
Yeah, no. Well, no, they have this after it because they can't even
Is
website.
that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think this is in the bullet point. Let's investigate.
No, it's like I guess no one proofread this.
Yeah, we're gonna check their code now. Let's see. So
yeah, it's interesting. Tom Woods is kind of one of the OGs in libertarian podcasting. He's good friends with Pete Quinones. I think that he actually helped Quinones kind of get his start in podcasting. And Woods is Catholic, and that's why I think the so-called grooming thing started. Is essentially he met his wife when his wife was underage, and the idea is like, oh, that's weird. She was grooming her, but they got married when she was over 18.
She was.
I'm not even going to look at that because I'm just assuming this is.
No, he was grooming because she was 17 and he was 18. That's probably what they knew.
It's basically something like that. And honestly, it's again, it's another case of they're mad that they're not in charge, and so again, they basically are just looking for anything that is kind of at hand. If I don't want to get too much into it, but I think that allegation from Tom Woods, his wife left him and basically wrote an article about how bad of a guy he is, and that's where that's from. So it's like, I don't want to get into it because it's someone's marital issues, and it's kind of just like, I mean, do you ever take someone's ex's word on them truthfully? I don't know. Anyway, Blue Templar, you're on. How you doing?
Hello. I'll have to go on my phone because I haven't figured out how to get Linux to use the headset I have. But,
of course, you have that problem. Well, welcome to the stream. I've saved the best for you. We're now on the Hitlerberg. I think everyone has seen this one. This is this is what inspired the stream because I saw this and I was like, how is it possible to come up with cancer this like raw? And then I clicked their account and it's like, oh yeah, followed by Jay Burden. This must be interesting.
So so their argument is anybody who doesn't like ugly stuff is Hitler?
Yes, that is their argument.
Sorry, it's hard for me to even like follow what's
I'm in a group chat with that guy. So what's actually I think
Beavers.
Yeah, I just stole this image. But essentially, this is sort of a reactionary point. And essentially, there's an idea that goes, fascism is any sort of like philosophy that takes that basically says there is a natural hierarchy. That's sort of a leftist definition of it. And the idea is that in saying something is beautiful and therefore good, right, that those are kind of linked, you're making a hierarchy judgment and therefore it is fascist. So that people will point to, that the fascist obsession with, like looking good, the reason that they prized aesthetics. And though basically the argument goes, if you care about aesthetics, you therefore care about hierarchy. Hitler also drank water, therefore you're Hitler. Essentially, it's spurious, but that is probably a more accurate version of what the leftist thinks of fascism than anything relating to kind of Italian futurism.
Are we supposed to like Hitler now? I mean, he fought for Ukrainian independence against Russia.
I have no opinion on Hitler.
and
I really don't. I kind of just don't care, to be honest.
Anything that I can't get. Yeah, go ahead.
In essence, it's admitting that liberalism as an ideology can't coexist with beauty, which kind of explains the modern world.
Well, and that's actually interesting because that famous like term. It's a picture people use as like hatred of the modern world, where it's like a view down a highway and it's like all these truck stops clustered together. I can't remember where it is. It's somewhere in like Pennsylvania or New Jersey, and they will, much like the image of the Dollar General, basically unironically say like, strip malls and consumerism are good and awesome, and that's liberalism. And if you don't agree with me, you're a fascist. Which, other than
Could
the
you
emphasis,
bring
I
this picture up?
unironically agree
'Cause
with.
that's the ultimate example.
Bring what up?
That's the ultimate example. I posted something in private chat.
Okay.
That is the Royal Ontario Museum, and what they did to it, because it was like this nice Victorian building, and they made it into this. Yeah, I think it's the ultimate example. Oh, okay.
Might have copied it wrong. Let me just.
I mean,
Oh,
basic.
it's this image. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's I know that architect. He's always doing stuff like this.
It's like it's a tumor that they just built. Like they tore down half the building. The funny thing is, they can't put up a lot of their collection because there's no like display room in it. So a lot of it is now in storage. But sorry, I just always have to bring that up whenever we're talking about ugliness and modern stuff.
A lot of this comes from Levius Woods, the architect, who what he was originally trying to do was to understand the craters and damaged buildings in World War II as like scars that liberalism could fill with mass. And it's an interesting thesis, but modernist architects have taken it to make these horrible like tumors, basically. Carbuncles is my favorite term for them. And oh my goodness,
the best meme ever.
So
because it is one of those things where it's like you can just respond with like the Chad yes, like pretty much. Like it's kind of why it's like I almost unironically agree with it.
Like it just feels like something an 8-year-old would make. Like there's no cleverness, there's no like irony or like inside. It just literally they just take like a statement and just put it on something, and it's just
it's kind of funny actually. Do you know how like who's that communist guy whose profile became like the stand-in for all leftist graffiti? Che.
Yeah. Che.
You know, Che, when people were making Che and posting it onto like on the stuff, it was kind of like a statement of like we reject your like corporate world order. And now, ironically, liberalism kind of people have accidentally made Hitler into that same like everybody's using his face to symbolize anti-liberalism. And I don't think that's what they want, but that's what's happening in a weird artistic way. What I wanted to say is that like basically the artist stands as a nail that's sticking out of the like the level playing field of liberalism, because not everybody can be an artist, and no matter how well you train some people are just not good at art. So liberalism finds itself somewhat unable to coexist with art, because good art proves inequality. Like it proves that some things are better than others by natural gift, and no amount of training can match that natural gift. And somehow the liberals, when they get angry, they interpret that as fascism because they're just low IQ, like cave goon brains, basically. It's funny to watch it happen because the liberalists are accidentally making like Hitler into an icon of like culture, which is not what you want if you're a liberalist. But they're stupid enough that they're doing it.
Well, and I think
it's.
Sorry,
sorry. Go ahead.
When you answer that question of like, what do they actually believe? It seems like with Templar, you're onto it. That essentially at the root of this is basically just pure egalitarianism. The idea that there is no such thing as hierarchy.
Yeah, that's on their website.
Any attempt to establish or reference hierarchy is Hitler or is the ultimate evil. And so essentially, right, it goes back to that old line about like, in hell all are equal. And so, I mean, to be honest, these people are basically just like Satanists.
Yeah, they're just a reinterpretation of Whig ideology, really.
sorry to quote Dennis Prager, but he made a really good point about this back when I used to listen to him. His point was that postmodern art is the democratization of beauty because it's specifically designed that anybody can make it, and it requires no talent, it requires no standards, and it's basically just to apply the principles of democracy to art and beauty.
Well, like any democracy, the ironic thing about that kind of art is that it becomes a funneling device for black markets and money because you can just pay off an evaluator to up the value of something and make yourself money, right? It's like it's a scam. Modern art has always been a scam. It's an evaluation scam to inflate value and sell it for a higher cost.
Are you saying like Hunter Biden's paintings that sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars are not artistic masterpieces?
Yeah, like you pay a dealer $1 million to raise the value of a piece of art, $20 million. You both get a piece of the pie, and then you walk away richer. Liberalism and democracy have always been scams like that, where you lie to the people that there's equality, and you take advantage of that to make yourself unequally wealthy. It's always been a scam.
So I guess what I would ask is, we saw them counter signaling the Democrats earlier. Like, why aren't these people just part of the Democrat political machine? Like, who is this for? Why does this exist? I don't get it.
Everybody knows that the Democrat Party is in a pseudo civil war between progressives and like just liberalism, and that's eventually going to break over. Like once the Republican Party dies off and it's on the way out, they're going to need a second outer party, and the liberals are hoping that they'll be that outer party. Or they want to be an inner party. I don't know.
That's the reason that this is also an op through the Libertarian Party too. Is that I wonder if that's the angle, because the Libertarian Party is currently in crisis, and a lot of the hardliners who were related to the Mises Caucus have essentially gotten fed up with Libertarian Party politics, and so they actually, maybe not these guys, but someone will be able to take over after them. And I'm wondering if that's the angle they're taking essentially.
Sorry, who is that?
Fukuyama.
Oh, okay. So
come on.
So he's a star and an angel?
Is that unironic?
I guess.
It's the question we've been asking.
Someone needs to. Oh, sorry. Go on.
How ironic to place them on top of a pyramid structure.
Someone needs to ask them if they support freedom of association.
Well, of course not. They're anti-Confederacy. So despite being self-determinate, anti-borders libertarians, they don't believe you have the right to secede.
That's one of the reasons why I view this as an attempt to replace the GOP, because having contradictions like that is often a trait of like outer party politics. They want their own set of contradictions and paradoxes to fill in the void of the GOP as it dies. That's what they're hoping, but in reality, they're not viable at all.
But they literally, half their website is them like saying they need to kick people out of the Libertarian Party for hate speech. Like that's their whole website.
Man, they really hate Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, because everybody knows he doesn't really like need to lie or anything. He just says things as they are. When liberalism reaches its like point of deflection back down into destruction, things like what Tucker Carlson says, just stating the obvious, become like dangerous to liberalism because everybody knows plain language threatens them.
Until they're exposed to speech they dislike. Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that the GOP is losing this bullshit. Like the GOP is losing the liberal nature of it. Like nobody cares about what if the tables were reversed anymore. And that's like the greatest result of the GOP dying is just the loss of that what if the tables were reversed nonsense.
I'm gonna say Rare DeSantis W donating to that guy's legal fund. I like how his legal fund was fully funded, like within 3 hours of being put up.
Yeah. He has an argument about if you could reinterpret the freedom of religion to actual historic dogmas, or like who gets to say what's historic or not. That's the counter signal to the liberalism. You can do whatever you want, right? Like I'm hoping that a Supreme Court view, because that case probably will go to the Supreme Court in like 4 years or something. And I'm hoping that like in some future point, the Supreme Court decides we're only going to protect like historic faiths and traditions. We're not going to make up like the Church of Jedi and nonsense.
This is really stupid right here. Because actually, no, you don't.
Well, it also it comes down to a completely fallacious understanding of what a religion is. So I actually wrote a Substack about this called Xeno-Religion. I basically make the argument that one of the core features of any kind of true faith, and I don't mean true as in like I believe it, but kind of like organic, is that it has to place some sort of limitation on its followers, right? That's what kind of defines a religion. And so, when you have Satanism, not only is it clearly not a real religion because it was just made up by essentially boomer liberals who wanted to make Christians mad, but also a faith that literally says, do whatever you want. Nothing is beyond the pale. Like, that's not a religion. That just effectively is like a meme, really. I don't know.
Well, do you think if you had have asked the founding fathers when they drafted the First Amendment, does this apply to like showing kids books about anal sex? Do you think they would have said yes? That's what it is.
Thomas Paine would have, but he's not a signature. So
I don't even think I don't even know if Thomas Paine would have.
Thomas Paine was an awful human being. The more you read about him.
Well, again, it just doesn't matter. Like, I'm not bound by this like blood oath to the Constitution. Like, things are wrong or right, and the Constitution is tactically useful, but like it's not like some like witchcraft where it's like I've presented the document, therefore, I don't know.
What you're saying is actually a really powerful like signature of what's happening with the death of like BoomerCon. The liberals still think they're attacking like 1990s conservatives that worship the Constitution, but the kids don't care. The kids kind of learned from progressives, the Constitution could be rewritten, and now they're thinking, well, why not just rewrite it for what I value, right? Like, fuck you. Forgive my language, but the liberalists still act as if they're debating like a 1990s Republican, and that dinosaur is going extinct. So their arguments are kind of like just who are you arguing against? These people don't exist anymore.
Well, and that's actually something.
In response to this thing on the screen here, I was scrolling trying to find this tweet I have. I really hate this idea that like you can't ever be offended at anything, and if you this is sort of the negative side of Gamergate, where it basically made fun of the concept of like being offended. I don't really view. I mean, yes, like satanic idols offend me. Yes, it's not. We act like if you get offended, you've been like caught out in some bad state. It's like getting caught with your pants down or something. But this is a very toxic idea, and it's like, yeah, we're offended by Satan. We're gonna smash the statue. Deal with it. I hate this idea where you can't be offended.
I think I came up with what I consider a pretty decent definition of free speech. There shouldn't be restrictions on saying or promoting morally good or morally neutral things, but it doesn't apply to morally evil things. Is kind of how I view it. Like, a lot of stuff is just morally neutral, like a lot of action movies and stuff like that. It's not necessarily morally good, but I don't know. Something I will say is the GOP seems to be getting it a bit on the state level. Like, they just started using state power to like gerrymander and stuff like that. Particularly Florida.
There's an idea in war that anytime you use this might be Sun Tzu, honestly, but like anytime you use a tactic against an enemy, there's a risk that your enemy learns that tactic. And if you abuse a tactic too much, your enemy will become specialized in facing that tactic. Progressives and liberals alike have used a lot of tactics over and over again, to the extent that the Republicans now, I wouldn't even say Republicans, anybody not aligned with Progress Inc. Now understands the tactic, and so the allure of it has gone away, and they're even starting to use those progressive tactics.
Oh, that was cringe.
Well, like I don't think they're. If a tactic is good, use it. Like, I don't put like moral assessment on a tactic. I just want to know, does it work? And progressive tactics work, and now you see right-leaning people starting to adopt those tactics, and they are getting results because they work. At some point in time, progressives had the better tactics, not the better morals or ethics or worldview. They were entirely reliant on superior tactics. Now that the right wing people are adopting those tactics with better ethics and morals, they're kind of securing a better outcome, because everybody wants those better traditional morals and ethics. They don't want the progressive Satanist ethics. So, in my opinion, this is like a bit of the beginning of a left wing ghost dance. If we were to like see a right wing shift in America, like this is what a left wing ghost dance would be.
Well, and that's actually an interesting point, Lou Templar, because this is something that Moldbug brings up, is the idea of, progressivism essentially as a mental virus. And, again, like, as you were no doubt aware, right? Like, similarly to how you combat, like, basically in using something, you do kind of build up, an immunity to it. And I wonder if, going back to why do the libtards hate Trump so much? Because one of the interesting things about it is that Trump basically killed the effectiveness of the left-wing press by, one, doing everything through Twitter, and two, basically just not caring about what libtards said about him. And, like you said, that was so long, that was their tool. It was the tool of public pressure, the tool of the press, the tool of basically calling someone, a fascist or whatever. And once you basically say, like, no, I don't care, they're left with other options. And don't get me wrong, right? Like, they still have the power of the state and they have used that, but they're obviously very uncomfortable and inept with it. And I think that you're right that, I mean, to the point that, like, no one cares if they're called racist anymore. Like, you can still get fired for it, but it doesn't have nearly the
I mean, like, go on.
I was going to say, I think he denied the media the right to judge him, because previously conservatives, whenever the media would attack them, they would try to debunk it and they would try to say, no, that's not the case. And Trump just said, these guys don't matter. I don't care. They're fake news.
Yeah,
this is a very dishonest framing we have sitting here in front of us. They're sort of critiquing the trad response to this White House dancing, eyes wide shut LARP thing, and it's like, we're not criticizing dancing, right? I mean, like, come on, this isn't even an honest critique.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, like, these exist, but any dance scholar would be able to tell you the difference between, like, that dancing video versus a ballet or something like that. Like, there's a certain kinds of dances which are meant to be evocative, or and there's a progressive and a traditional dance style, unironically, and that dance style was meant to insult tradition. It's kind of meant to mock. Sorry. Oh
Sorry,
no! What's
just
this?
that guy's face.
Well, again,
I mean,
right, it goes back to that denial of hierarchy and denial of value judgment. It's like this: if you say that this is objectively better or worse, it's fascism.
Yeah, and I mean, it is interesting because, like, I think there's something more than just Trump not caring about what the media said to him. I think it was the fact that he kind of, I don't know, maybe I don't have the words to explain it, but, like, as an example, the GOP established it putting on these farce of a debate, trying to desperately say, oh yeah, this is for real serious, a debate. And, like, 70% of Republicans just don't give a shit about that debate. They're not voting for anyone there.
Do they actually not understand the concept of citizenship, or is...
Yeah, this is the classic, like, smuggy post where it's like the black guy crying. It's like photos that'll make you say fuck having laws and shit, this is a very...
MAGA thinks that only applies to citizens.
Well, again, Arjun, I think that the mistake is to assume that they care about being consistent. Like, the motivation behind this was not, I'm going to say something true. It's, I'm going to make fun of MAGA, kind of first and foremost. Basically, these people are pushing me further and further into postmodernity, where it's like, it's all narrative all the way down. It doesn't matter.
So, are they into Reagan? Is that like... I guess they are, right? Yeah, you mentioned they were following that Reagan guy. I guess it makes sense that they're into Reagan. This stuff is just baffling.
What is that?
This lady?
Yeah.
The way...
I don't know. It's just the physiognomy here is just...
Oh,
Episcopalian, that is a really bad sign.
Ugh.
Coasty. Oh God.
I thought that said so. I thought that started with an R.
Roasty.
Yeah, I thought that started with an R percentage. Don't
Come
bring the
on.
office into
Oh,
Not
this.
much difference.
God. The Jefferson
Jeff-
Davis,
yeah.
the literal devil.
Wow, great.
Okay,
This-
so
Oh, let's,
I think the most offensive aspect of that like Baphomet statue was it didn't even look cool. Like, like they're not setting their best, guys. Make like a cool looking Baphomet statue.
I
It
would
just
if I was him, I just would have said, "Oops, I knocked it down. Look how weak it is." I just would have made it up that was an accident.
do they? Okay, so apparently they believe this. I mean, how do they explain the? Well, I guess what is it? When was the last time Russia invaded one of its neighbors? Like
oh, wait,
19
Sean Wayland. Apparently, the McCloskey, that is a man. That is a trans woman.
Yeah, of course.
For a second, I thought this was like an anti-race realism thing, and they're saying that skulls don't. No, but that would have been like.
I was about to say, I think I disagree with every single premise of this argument.
I mean, for one, the skulls are wrong, but well, yeah, that's another conversation.
Oh, look, this is objectively false. What? Bizarre. Just
Yeah, so we lost a significant part of our population. We're going to lose the war, but at least Zelensky had a lot of coke.
and this is from like days ago. Okay.
I wonder if you could make the Benthamite argument. You know, the Zelensky has had more like positive utility by doing coke and getting bunches of free money than all the people that died. Like there's an autistic like economic calculation to be made.
You know, I am curious about the moment the defeat happens when the money it's realized the money was a waste. I do wonder what that will have as an effect on people. Because if it happens before the election, Biden's going to have to take that L. Like, I wasted billions of your dollars on a failed war with no results, and I lost money.
I'm doing a whole series on this called The Snakening, where I'm like, as media organizations turn on Ukraine, like I'm covering it, and they're already throwing Ukraine under the bus. Like they're taking down as long as it takes. They're like the Washington Post and one of the great anime betrayals, they had a Ukraine tab at the top of their webpage for like years, and now it's just gone.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I to my shame, originally was on the pro Ukraine side because I knew enough about how much weapons we dumped on. Yeah, I knew how much weapons we dumped on them, and I thought Slavs with too many weapons, it's going to be fun. But after about a year, I was like, okay, we're clearly seeing a stalling. Nothing's going to happen. I'm done with this shit. Like I was just doing it purely tactical. That this won't be over overnight. So what the hell? I'll see if Ukraine can do it. And I was like, oh, you're just squandering money like typical Slavs. Never mind, you're going to lose.
Yeah, I guess your channel link on your Twitter profile is broken, but yeah.
Okay, thanks for reminding me. I need to fix that. But oh yeah, that was me singing the Simple Plan. I made my mistakes.
So I am curious how this account is going to respond for like the next year, because in the next year, what we're going to probably see happen is Trump's probably going to be the GOP nominee. Ukraine's probably going to lose the war. We're probably going to see some activity in South America with Venezuela, and America's going to have to back off there too. So like you're going to see like their world order shrink globally, basically, and they're going to be defending it as it shrinks the borders. And I'm really curious how they're going to essentially convert to cope.
Well, again, I'll put it this way. They don't seem to have taken any lessons of the last 15 years since this was a real political ideology. And so I have no faith that they will ever change. You know, these people they're on the same level as like the hardcore COVID people now. You know, they're so set in their ways. I don't know.
The fossilization process happens when you don't want to face your problems, and usually when you don't want to face your problem.
Look at this one. This tells you all you need to know. Sorry. I think we know where their money's coming from.
Yeah.
But sorry, Lou Templar, I just completely cut you off.
No, it is another topic of like, you know, why do they still care about Israel versus Palestine? Like that, a liberal shouldn't care about the arguments between two like desert cults, essentially. Like you're talking between two, like a pseudo theology, a theocracy, and an actual theocracy. Why are you picking sides, liberal? You shouldn't have to pick either side. But it's part of their contradiction. Their internal contradictions demands they support the traditional allies and repulse the traditional enemies.
Come on.
I mean, okay, that doesn't make Trump look worse. That makes him look actually effective.
It makes him look awesome.
That's images that go hard right there.
Yeah, I mean, like why are they using people that were like actually good at their jobs to criticize Trump? Like
Trump is Stalin. Is that just like what it is? Is that just their
like
I don't
Well,
like how is
Bill
Trump
Gates
Stalin?
be forced? Well, okay, so should Bill Gates be forced to turn over his land, basically? So it's land confiscation. So taking Bill Gates' farmland means Stalin.
This is anti-Fetterman posting, and I totally reject it. What's the view count on most of these memes? Like, what's the average view count? Is this just like 1,000 or 20,000?
Well, if we it's not great. Let's go to their Hitler one. Because that actually had a lot of engagement, and it wasn't great. They had like 500 likes.
Every once in a while, they'll have a post, especially that Joshua Reed Echo guy will have a post that will hit like resist Twitter, you know, and so he'll get some engagement there, and then mostly it's just our guys dunking on them, essentially.
Yeah, so Hitler got 1 million views.
Oh, we should check the FEC filings for that super PAC.
Okay, good idea.
But they're super PAC?
Yeah, it is. According to chat, and we saw it earlier.
Who are they officially endorsing?
No one yet, at least that I can't tell. But they're related to the Libertarian Party.
I'm betting they're going to want to lean towards Haley if she can get any accreditation.
Are they
they're anti-Vivek?
Are they like associated with no labels, or is that just a completely different meme?
Yeah, so this one only got 5K views, so that gives us a benchmark.
So,
I'm not sure.
This is a niche Twitter corner that occasionally gets cross-referenced to like insufferable progressives. That's all it is.
So I'm curious to see, because like Reagan Republican thinks Pinochet and Lee Kuan Yew are the greatest leaders of the 20th century. So how would these guys like address like a country like Singapore or something like that? Would they just say like Singapore is Ancapistan or what?
I think they tactically ignore those cases.
Okay. Makes sense.
So what's interesting on their YouTube channel is it seems like most of it is shorts. So they basically take their podcast and chop them up into shorts, which is an incredibly time-consuming process. It's just a ton of video editing. So they obviously have some sort of support. And so this is why I want to look into that FEC filing, because they're definitely getting money from somewhere to do this, to do all the graphic design. And don't get me wrong, it's not good, but it does seem like they're getting money from somewhere.
Possible the nuclear lobby, because they have a lot of pro-nuke stuff just kind of randomly sprinkled in there.
Do
you want to look them up, or
this is probably Ghost of McCain funding it.
Yeah, so I think we're probably getting into wrapping up range here. I will scroll a little more and see if we find anything particularly stupid.
So they're pro FDR, which is weird because they've come out saying that
that's not odd at all, because the myth of FDR is that he was defending liberal democracy. Never mind the amount of authoritarianism he had.
He literally took all of the gold. He stole all of the gold in the whole country.
It's about the myth, not the man.
Well, very.
You missed earlier. They were claiming that there were conspiracy. Where did we find that?
So Luthemplar, they're basically anti. There was like a a Mises Caucus, which is like based libertarians, took over the Libertarian Party, and so they're anti that, and so they linked to this
Here we go.
document, which is basically all the bad things they've done, and part of that is that they're basically saying it's a racist conspiracy to be anti-Pacific War in World War II. So they're taking this like weird stance that actually libertarians should support the war in the Pacific and should support FDR, which is like, considering where libertarians came from, which is like a redo of the old right in America, which is explicitly FDR, is probably the most confusing position you could possibly take.
Yeah, I mean, these kind of outer party shenanigans always have a host of contradictions. It's kind of how you know it's more emotional driven than facts driven. I mean, also physiognomy doesn't lie. You know the kind of people that these men are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, considering they're so anti physiognomy with that meme about skulls, I don't know.
All of these skulls have enormous underbites, overbites rather.
Yeah, I was about to say no jawline
All right.
whatsoever.
I think we've about exhausted the lol cow for now. Anything else we should look at before we start closing?
Oh wait, this is incredibly impressive. Someone sent me the FEC link.
Good.
Via
Let's bring it up.
Substack filing or via Substack.
We should do one on Reagan Republicans sometime, because that is a really deep hole.
That
Yeah,
would
really.
definitely be interesting. Okay, let me pull this up.
Let's look at this. So it's filed in Tennessee. Okay, so it seems to be
Of
filed.
course, it's filed in Tennessee.
It's by
That's
his
like-
wife. Okay, First Horizon Bank.
Everybody
this is-
files in Tennessee because you can't be held for any bad information or claims because there's speech laws.
Okay, so there's actually very little on this filing. So it's literally not linked to a party. It's not linked to a candidate. Nothing.
Yeah, and it's
So-
like last month.
Yeah, so this is very new, and it's literally not supporting anything. So effectively, it's
Lauren
just
Why
like,
are there a
That
bunch
must
of
be his-
why is there 3 extra commas?
That's
don't know.
weird, but I guess that's his wife. I would guess.
yeah. So this is really weird because look, they're connected to no organizations.
If
No-
if there's multiple commas, it was probably a larger listing of people that don't want to publicly support them yet. They just pick out the names and forgot to take out the commas.
Oh,
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
hybrid pack. It's a
And so no
committee-
donations yet reported either. So this is a very new shell.
Yeah.
Huh. So
do
that's
people
interesting.
would people like would Soros really that incompetent? Like, would he give money to these losers, or because
Soros is halfway in the grave and has already given all of his assets to his children, so he's kind of out of the game at this point. But
Okay,
his
well-
children, depending on what his children believe, they may be.
like they aren't sending their best. Like,
Yeah, just some
I'm
random.
I'm
name.
impressed at the guy in chat who found me on Substack and edited me on that platform for the document. So top tier work, man.
Send it to me in Telegram so I can review it and do my snooping.
Well, also
I'll
we'll be able to get more filings from it.
It's linked in the private chat too, so you can. That's where I clicked on it.
Thanks.
So yeah, interesting.
I'll say one thing: it's better than Cenk for President's website. Yeah, Cenk Uger's website for president is substantially worse than that. So I guess they beat him.
So maybe they are just retarded. Maybe they don't have any.
I don't know.
can't-
This is a
you
good.
can't link
Who's right here? Which one is it? We're gonna find out.
I
don't
think
know.
Czech can't even run for president. So what's he doing? He's just gonna run illegally.
collect money.
Oh, have you guys not seen his website? Okay,
Jeremy.
just we have to.
Okay,
Just
that'll
quickly
be
go
the
to
last
Cenk.
thing we do. Can you?
No, like
how do we
guys,
find
you
it?
have no idea how bad it is. It's amazing.
How do you like? Is it? How do I find his stupid thing?
I know it's a digression, but it's like
Head crab.
it has to be to
Send me a
believe.
link. How do I find it?
Let's see here. It's
No, it's parody.
CNK.
CNK.
Oh, did he take it down?
That's a parody.
I'm
Well, if you have
surprised
a
it's
link
so
to-
hard
One
to
second,
find.
I'm just give me a
Maybe he
second.
blocked you.
Here we go. Chink for America.
Oh, there you
I'll post
Okay,
it in
there it is.
the.
Yeah, I also
Okay.
found it.
Ooh,
Oh, okay. They've improved it a bit since last time.
have they?
No, it used to be substantially worse than this.
Wait, can we see their merch?
Wow.
I want to go to their store.
Okay, like,
Yeah.
you have no idea how much worse it used to be than this.
I want to make one of those, those like 4chan loadout memes, where it's like you like build your loadout like it's a video game with like a t-shirt and a weapon. It's just going to be real American t-shirt, no other clothing. Yeah.
Go to their press page because I want to see if they fixed the formatting on it because the formatting on it was atrocious. Okay, no, they fixed the formatting. Okay.
Uh,
This
No,
basically just
it's
seems
like
a
way
scam.
better.
Yeah,
here's
this
a
is,
fun little. Here might be a fun little opportunity to say what are your odds on Trump winning next year?
I'll give Trump 52% odds of winning.
Are we assuming that there's ethics in video game journalism or no ethics in video game journalism?
Just
there's-
whatever the TV says.
That is a not that's not a euphemism for shenanigans. I just
That's what are the numbers you expect to see on the television that night?
if there's ethics in video game journalism, I think Trump has like a 65 to 70% chance of winning. If there's none, then I think he has like a 20% chance of winning. So
Yeah, I think that
I can
I'm
agree with
firmly on the Aaron McIntyre side of this debate. I think that I think that there is no chance whatsoever. I'm guessing like maybe 15%.
I am going to say that at this point in time, it's probably about 60% chance he wins, purely on the fact of just how incompetent the government has proven itself to be. Like the people who shall we say play games 4 years ago, those are mostly like really tactical old white men with a few underlings from various backgrounds. Now all the old white men are either retired or gone, and I just can't see the confidence happening. I can't see that repeat of confidence. Not to mention, like the for some reason, progressives really care about Israel and Palestine, and a lot of them just cannot tolerate Biden shilling for Israel. I don't know why they take that particular issue so personally, but a lot of them are just done with Biden because of that one issue.
I agree with you. I think he is going to win the election because they wouldn't be trying so hard to keep him off the ballot if they didn't think he would be able to win an election.
Yeah, it comes off as desperate. The fact that they can't just if this was 1965, they would just shoot him. Like, just that's it. The fact that they're afraid to do that, they're afraid to be like shit. Biden had that. I'm going to say he had a lot of main character energy in 2016. 2020. And he was really like up and like confident, and now it just comes off as like desperate, like we're pursuing all legal means, don't worry. It's like it's very no thank you. I can see through your shell.
Well, I would love to be wrong, but to me, I just don't think they can help themselves, and I think that if what I think that they're doing is I think that there's a setup so this thing with Colorado is going to go to the Supreme Court. It's been halted till January, and there's already been a target on the back of the Supreme Court for a while. And I think that the setup of Supreme Court says Trump can run. The Supreme Court is an enemy of democracy, and get rid of Trump and get rid of or limit in some way the power of the Supreme Court is kind of a back-to-back set of W's for them. And I don't think that they'll do it well, but I think that they want both of those things, and they don't have the impulse control to stop.
they can't give up the Supreme Court because they need that to push down their policies in the future. So they can't, even if that castle is captured, they can't tear it down because in their minds we just wait a few years for certain justices to pass away and we get the castle back. They are actually thinking a little bit long term there, and the quick short term thinking of cripple them and don't let them do anything, it would only prevent them from doing anything when they actually got power.
I think that is a rational decision. I don't think that's the decision they will make.
I'll say this whole thing is just danger. It's super fucking dangerous. Like they're going like far outside of what was kind of normal for American politics. Like it is banana republic tier stuff, like trying to arrest your political opponent, getting him removed from ballots. If you look at the lawsuits, like I read the Georgia one on stream, and it was literally like Trump texted someone asking for someone's phone number, and like he had a public meeting with like a representative, and it's just yeah, I don't know. It's just
yeah, but like those, like I would even bet that the Georgia case is going to be thrown out of court within the next 6 months. Like you've read them, you see how weak they are, and once it gets up to the Supreme Court, it's just going to be left out. Like there aren't actually any serious court filings that I've seen that have an actual decent argument. Like if you were back in the 1960s, they had straight recordings and proof that Nixon broke into places. That's a strong argument. You can't just say, "Oh, he texted that person." Like that's not an argument.
But I think it's dangerous to open this Pandora's box and to make this like a regular thing, like to make arresting your political opponents a regular thing, removed from ballots and stuff.
I mean,
again,
at this,
I was going to say, like you're 100% right, Argent, but my core premise is it's kind of what you said, Luthemplar, that essentially they have lost the ability to delay their own gratification. And so you're 100% right from a tactical standpoint, but I look at this as, effectively the bio-Leninism is taken over, and the people that they have basically promoted for reasons of patronage are not as competent. And because they're not as competent, they're not as able to resist the call of essentially doing the thing that makes me feel good now.
The thing about that though is that only works if there is like the system can endure the incompetence, that you can abuse it. And more actually, what happens is that you have a breakdown of the system and it can't actually enforce anything that's trying to distribute in terms of power. Like you have South Africa where no matter how incompetent the people are, the system broke down as well, and now they just can't actually do any of the evil things they wanted to. They can just make a mess, but they can't actually organize their state to say like kill the Boer or something. Like they can say that is their goal, but they don't have the competence to actually pull it off. And what I'm basically saying is that like the Supreme Court still has a level of competence that they can enforce things, although the undercourts are clearly crippled. The politicians are crippled. The lawyers are crippled. Like these are institutions that are in decay, and I'm just not convinced they can actually use them effectively, even if they have like the power.
Yeah, just my point is like we had Jan 6, which was 9/11 times 1,000. But if you're like normalizing all this stuff, because previously they did it, but at least they tried to have a veneer or something like it, then who knows what's going to happen next time. It's like, what if I think the dangers of like BLM was it illegitimized political violence. And just I don't think, like, I don't really care about democracy personally, but I'm just saying, like, I think they don't know what they're unleashing by changing the rules so fundamentally and just going full banana republic. I don't think they're going to like the path that leads to.
Have you done a deep dive on BLM's financial background?
No.
And they're like, so I mean, it's ruled by the financial side is ruled by the obvious suspects, but have you noticed they've been awfully quiet with regards to Israel and Palestine?
Yeah, like how ISIS was awfully quiet with regards to Israel.
Yeah, well, that's so. The thing is, BLM, because of who runs their financial side, the main organization is essentially neutered at this point. It can't actually do anything. The subsidiaries that are usually independent or semi-independent, they're very vocal. They're on the Palestinian side, And you go to if you go to the ADL website, you'll see like fringe BLM movements where they talk about how pro-Palestine they are, without realizing that these are now effectively more effective and larger than the main BLM organization, which again is a captured castle for their side. The entire board of BLM is majority, well, non-black, we'll say, and it's essentially like the tools that they had to do what they did in 2020 have already run their course. They don't have the effectiveness that they had in 2020, and they can't really be pulled out in 2024 because they just don't have the organizational capacity. Like BLM is an empty shell corporation at this point. It just takes donations and gives it to the finance side. It doesn't actually do anything anymore. And plenty of other organizations are like that. Like Antifa is a joke now. They can't actually do anything. These organizations that they propped up in 2020 and then promptly burned the political capital that they had within a year. And within a year, they were just shells of what they were.
And Luthemplar, that's one of the core reasons that I believe that they can't control themselves anymore as a movement, is because their organizations of central control, right? Their institutions are very badly damaged. They don't have as much centralized control anymore, and their base is sort of running rampant. And I think that you've spoken about the civil war between the two factions of the Democratic Party, and I think that the problem is the successor to the elite class, right? The millennials and down have been so thoroughly saturated in progressive ideology. They never really got the memo that that's just what you say, you don't actually do it. And so you're seeing a disconnect between the kind of like old elite who control a lot of these institutions just by having institutional capture, right? Versus their successors who are unhinged ideologues.
Yeah, but like ideologues are a tool. They're not the head. Like an ideologue can never lead anything because it can't deal with exceptions and paradoxes. That's why ideologues are always your foot soldiers, never your leaders. Once ideologues become leaders, they just crumble. They cannot deal with the contradictions.
Well, I don't disagree with you if we're talking about like being an actual legitimate, effective political force. But I mean, I think that basically this is closer to like a social disease than anything. It's just kind of bringing down us with it.
Yeah, but maybe I'm just too high on white pills, but I can't see that kind of ideological puritanism as actually doing much more than having a hissy fit once it actually has the chance to grab power. Because power does require a certain degree of tolerating contradiction and paradox for the sake of it to work. You tolerate things that one does and the same things that your enemy does you don't tolerate. They don't show any ability to master power that way, and as a result they're just going to hold too tight until it fails them, basically.
Well, I guess we'll see. I don't want to just turn this into a debate between you and I, Luthemplar, but I think we both set out our argument well.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this because you're both making decent points, but it's all going to clarify itself in about 11 months or so, won't it? So,
Luthemplar, I've got an idea. Let's you and I make a public bet over this for a cigar. We're the first ones to do it.
I would be willing to do that because, as you know, I owe you a cigar for all the cigars you got me addicted to.
So, for reference, I did get Luthemplar addicted to nicotine. That may be my fault.
All right, yes. So we're doing it. Official cigar bet between the two.
Yeah, I'll take him up on that.
All right. What are the terms?
Trump, yes or no? Trump wins, yes or no? I think is it.
I'm yes, he's no.
Okay, fair enough.
Here's the thing: if Trump actually wins, a cigar it doesn't matter, but if he loses, it's like, okay, at least there's consolation in that.
Yeah.
This is what we call a covered position in the finance world.
Okay, well, no, that was a good little closing discussion to append to this, and we'll check in on Project Liberal in a few months too, and just see if they're getting any additional funding or if they're just some random one-off set of ideologues. That'll be interesting too. But anyway, fellas, thanks everybody for coming on. I'm glad you could all make it, and we could have a little bit of fun right before Christmas, just sort of mocking these idiots. So, yes, shilling. Argent, anything to shill?
Just I've just been covering the Snake Inning. Unfortunately, the Ukrainian cinematic universe is basically over at this point, but we can have some fun watching all the media turn on Ukraine.
Very good. Burden.
So I host the Jay Burden Show, which is a weekly interview show. Actually, it's twice a week now. I've talked to everyone on here except for Charlemagne, but I have discussions with people you've heard of, upcoming discussions with Lafayette Lee, with Thomas 777. So names you've heard of. If you want to check me out, you can find me on any podcatcher.
Excellent. And Lou Templar.
I just do Substack at this point. Probably should do more. That's it.
Yeah, and as for me, I'll be doing another Ukraine wrap-up stream, probably about a week or so with the usual suspects who go over that with me. So stay tuned for that in the next week or so. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas.